In this video clip, we will discuss the most common fact-finding technique used by systems developers: fact-finding interviews. The purpose of analysis activities is to learn and understand at a very detailed level the user's business processes and how the system will support those processes. As shown in this slide, there are various techniques that are available to system developers. Each technique has its strong points and has specific benefits in learning certain aspects of the user's requirements. Number 1, using questionnaires. This technique is quick and easy to utilize, and it often will give some detailed information about specific options. However, since it does not encourage probing or additional research, its use is limited. Number 2, review current system inputs and outputs. This technique will give good detail about how the current system works. This is often a good starting point to understand current processes. However, developers and users should avoid the temptation to simply duplicate current approaches. After all, the purpose of a new system is to improve the current work procedures and to provide new capabilities. Number 3, observing business procedures. In this technique, the developers will actually sit down with the users and watch them work, or possibly even work side by side with them. As with the previous technique, it can provide good understanding of the current system and of those business needs. Number 4, researching vendor solutions. This is a great technique because it indicates what other companies have done to solve this business requirement. Often, new ideas and approaches are uncovered by looking outside the organization. In fact, a good vendor solution may be the best approach to deploying a new system. However, there is a temptation. Sometimes users will want to install a vendor solution even if it does not fit the specific requirements of the business need. Next, collecting user comments. Perhaps the organization has been collecting suggestions over time. If so, be sure to research and understand the what and why of each of these suggestions. And finally, interviewing users and stakeholders. This is the most widely used technique, and it produces the most in-depth understanding of users' needs. It requires substantial amounts of time and efforts, and thus is quite expensive. System developers who have learned to ask probing questions are able to understand the issues and needs, usually at both a deep and broad level of understanding. Let's talk briefly about interviewing users. The process for preparing for, conducting, and utilizing the results from an interview follows these 6 steps. Number 1, set the objective of the interview. In other words, what do you expect to accomplish? And let everybody know. Don't keep it a secret. Number 2, prepare detailed questions. Both closed-ended questions that only require a simple answer and open-ended that elicit additional discussion. This is usually an outgrowth of the session objective, but do not limit the discussion to only those questions. Number 3, meet with individuals or groups. Number 4, obtain and discuss answers. This should be an interactive give-and-take session. Don't be afraid to expand your questions. One of the best skills you can learn is to ask probing questions to obtain depth and breadth in your understanding. Number 5, document the answers. This is done in many ways. One of the most effective ways is to build models. However, written documentation is also helpful to remember the details and the decisions that are made. Finally, follow up. Sometimes there are open items that require further research and further meetings. Also, additional questions frequently arise when the developers are building models or the results are being documented. As you think about and create questions that need to be answered, it is always helpful to think about these 3 ideas or these 3 themes. Theme number 1, what are the business processes? Or, in other words, ask the user, what do you do in your job? This question makes sure you are focusing on the right thing, the business operations. Number 2, ask the user, what is the best way to perform these processes? Or what steps do you follow to do this task? This question ensures that you dig deep into the understanding of the business operations and that you are thinking about the best solution. And finally, what information is needed to perform the business process? Or you can ask the user, what data do you enter and what information is returned? This question ensures that the system will have a comprehensive and complete database for the information system. So how do you prepare for the interview? How do you prepare and conduct the interview? This figure from the textbook is a good summary list of all the things you should think about as you prepare, conduct, and follow up on the user interviews. We will not review each of these items one by one. You can review them in the book. Let's just talk about the concepts. So before the interview, your primary objective in preparing for an interview is to set an objective or to determine what you want to have accomplished by the end of the interview. You should do your homework before by researching the information that is available. These steps will help you decide who should be involved and what questions you want to ask. Finally, be sure all the participants know the purpose so that they can help achieve the objectives. Conduct the interview. 2 big items here. First, be professional. Come on time, dress appropriately, respect the time of the users. Then, for the interview, ask your questions and probe for details. Also, don't forget to probe for error conditions. In other words, find out what can go wrong, what to do when things go wrong. Again, the best system developers have learned how to ask probing questions to make sure all the details are uncovered. And finally, follow up afterwards. Your big task here is to turn the notes or knowledge you gained in the interview into meaningful requirement definitions. Usually this is done through building models. Finally, there are always open items, questions that users did not have answers for, or additional questions you forgot to ask, new ideas that are triggered by the responses. You should make a list of all those open items so that you don't forget to get them answered at a future date. Here is an example of an open items list. It's an easy way to be sure that questions that need answers do not get forgotten. There are several software applications that will do this, or a simple spreadsheet will also work. Learning to be a good interviewer is one of the most important skills of a good systems developer. As a developer, your job is to thoroughly understand the user's needs so that you can ensure that the new system does what is required to solve the business problem.